The fourth Solana NFT blue chip is here. It launched last week on Wednesday. And in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to unpack what makes the Galactic Gecko Space Garage so special. Why is it a Solana blue chip, and what is the team doing to actually bolster an absolutely amazing community? Don't worry, because you are early. You're on time to join in before this rocket ship goes absolutely parabolic. So let's get going, taking a look at what the Geckos are all about. Last Wednesday, the Galactic Gecko Space Garage launched, and it absolutely went crazy. They launched with a 10K mint. They minted 10,000 NFTs, uniquely generated NFTs of the Geckos, and they priced each mint at 2 Sol, or roughly $300 at the time of recording, for those mints. They sold out in 7 minutes. 10,000 requests were processed within 7 minutes at 2 Sol apiece. Now, that's not necessarily cheap. That's not necessarily expensive either. It's kind of, right on that like upper threshold where people are willing to pay for that. So it's impressive that they sold out so incredibly quick. The question becomes why? Why did they sell it so fast? Why were people so hyped for this? The interesting thing about the Geckos is the community that has already been built around it. Influencers like Pintoshi have already said that this feels like the Bored Ape Yacht Club. This community, this project, what the team is doing, feels like it is the Bored Ape Yacht Club. And the way that they're doing things, the way that they're speeding up into the metaverse is absolutely incredible for people who are in this ecosystem. Now, like I said, you're early. You still have time to jump in on the Geckos right now. So what we're going to do in this video now is dive into the screen and take a look at what's so unique about the Geckos. Let's go. Now, I had every intention of starting this video out and this discussion centered around the pricing of the Geckos as it stands today, the time of this recording, which is Monday, September 27th. As you can see, Solana, which is the only exchange where they're verified as listing at, is down for maintenance. But I can tell you based on, just my experience and my memory, kind of where things are. They had a 2 Sol mint, and at the time of this recording, they have yet to dip below the 2 Sol mint price. A very common thing that you see is, let's pretend that this is the mint price right here. We've got 2 Sol. Lots of times when they launch, you'll see something kind of like this, where and this, let's say the x-axis is time. So if this is price and this is time, what you oftentimes see is you see that the project itself will dip below mint price, and it will stay that way either permanently. It'll stay that way and it'll just go down and it'll stay down. Or they overcome the issue and they go back up. You may be wondering to yourself, well, why do things dip below the mint price in the first place? It's because people mint like dozens of these things. Geckos, whatever the project is that they're minting in general, people typically mint just as many as they possibly can, and then they try and dump all their commons, so that way they can either go mint more for a chance at rares, or they just want to hold their rare ones for a long time. So you kind of shake out these people who are getting rid of their commons as people who want to be in the project pile back into it. This never happened for the Geckos. With their 2 Sol mint price, this is what their price has done. Like, it literally just went up. It never ever went below mint price, and the project's only been out for like 5 days now at the time of this recording, and the floor price is somewhere in the 13 to 14 range. Again, I haven't checked it this morning because Solana was down, but last night when I went to sleep, it was right around the 14 Sol range. That is a 7x improvement over the mint price in just 5 days. Now, that's not to say that the rares are not flying off the charts too. They are. In fact, I myself paid a very pretty penny for my rares. But the price discussion isn't the compelling thing to talk about in this video. The thing that we should focus in on is why. Why are people so bullish on the Geckos? And what makes this project so unique? There's really a couple things that make this project unique. And in my opinion, arguably, the most important thing that projects fail at is coming out of the gate with a reason to stay engaged. People, within their first like 48 to 72 hours of minting, either want to be hooked into the community or they want to dump it. And that's why you oftentimes see a project dies almost immediately, is because most people are like, let's get into this, let's see if it's cool. After a couple days, it's not cool, let's just dump it. So what are the Geckos doing that made this community so exciting? I'm bringing up their Discord, and I personally hate Discord because look at how much crap I have going on. But nonetheless, here I am in Discord. The reason why the Geckos did something so incredibly fun is right here, the lore section. Without wasting any time at all, and I mean no time at all, they started presenting hints that Season 2 is now underway. And they're giving us this background, this metaverse about the 4 factions of geckos and how they're about to be invaded by some mysterious force that we don't fully understand. And if you've managed to collect 4 geckos, 1 from each faction, and they're willing to work together, that's kind of the lore part of it there, they're doing a snapshot so that you can be airdropped already, immediately. We're only talking a few days. And they dropped this info like a couple days after they've already minted. I mean, it's just amazing that they're wasting absolutely no time going 0 to light speed to give us an environment, a world where these geckos actually do things and they're part of a story and a plan. And again, like, I can't say it enough, like, no other project does this except for the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I mean, how can you not draw a parallel here? This is Bored Ape Yacht Club's hint of Roadmap 2.0 and all of the things that they have going on. Now, Bored Apes have been around for 5 months. Think about that, though. Bored Apes have only been around for 5 months, and they've already progressed through Roadmap 1.0. They had merch, they had the mutant drop, they had the dog drop, they had the scavenger hunt. They've done all of these amazing things in a tiny amount of time frame, and the only other project that I've seen accelerate to try and do this type of stuff, to try and build a community and an environment where it's more than just collecting JPEGs, is the Geckos. And they happen to be on Solana, which is really an amazing thing. So the community immediately is hooked. They're hooked and they're like, oh my god, this is amazing. Now I'm actually a part of something bigger than just, people who happen to have these cool pictures of, space geckos or whatever. So that's what I can't stress enough. The biggest reason to me that the Geckos are going to be a huge deal is the fact that they wasted no time. They collected roughly a $3 million paycheck on Wednesday, and they didn't take a weekend off to go celebrate. Instead, they went straight into Season 2. They went straight into talking about their custom artworks that they're building. They went straight into planning a snapshot for an airdrop. They went to, this to them is more than just a cool art project that they slapped together. This to them is building an entire universe. And I can't stress it enough. That should just get you really, really excited. And then you start to think to yourself, well, the Bored Apes in 4 months, 5 months now, what's the cheapest Bored Ape you can get? $120,000 for a floor ape? And what's the cost of a gecko right now? 14 Sol, or what is that? Roughly $7,000? Not financial advice. Do your own research. Nothing I say here should ever be construed as financial advice. I'm just an average Joe off the street just talking to my friends about things that I am excited about. The Geckos happen to be one of those things that I'm very excited about. But what else made the Geckos so incredibly unique? And that was the fact that every gecko looks cool, because every attribute on all of these geckos is something truly unique and special. They didn't reuse things from other projects that everybody knows and sees. Everybody knows a crown, everybody knows a zombie, everybody knows gold, everybody knows Solana skin glasses, right, or Solana gradient, whatever. No, the Geckos said every single attribute we create is going to be unique, and we're going to have a cool hierarchy to talk about how we can determine when one is rare or one is not rare, and then we'll even set up the rankings built around that. So if I jump back to their website, galacticgeckos.app, this was the main page where they minted, and you can see it sold out because it sold out in 7 minutes. they have a rarity tool where you click on here and you just type in something like, you know, the gecko number that you have here. I happen to know 2488 because I own 2488. And then we see the attributes that are available here on the left-hand side. The attributes for the geckos range from a 4-at to a 7-at. And the big debate right now is which one is more rare. When it came to the actual numbers of attributes and how it factors into the rankings, they outright said that the number of attributes that they have plays no factor whatsoever into the rankings. So if you happen to have a 4-at gecko, for instance, jumping over to my NFT eyes page, I see I have two 4-at geckos right here, 4439 and 3170. I can come over here and type 3170, and my 4-at gecko here is ranked 52, 43 or 90. I can't tell if that's a 4 or a 9. But nonetheless, this is actually a very rare gecko. In my opinion, this is actually a very rare gecko because only 345 ghostly white geckos are in existence. And a poll on my Twitter account basically said, like, this is the best looking gecko we've ever seen because the clean white gecko on the black background is really, really cool. But this one is ranked very, very low because it didn't generate an ear, it didn't generate a helmet, and it didn't generate armor, which are factors into when they determine whether or not they're rare or not. So if you're going based on these rankings, it's probably best to get something that has a lot of attributes, and hopefully some of those attributes are particularly rare. Now, the attribute rankings themselves are actually pretty fascinating. Here, I'm going to write this in black so it shows up nice and clean. If we were to rank how these attributes come together, you have Ultra at the top. I also see that right here. The Nebular Wormhole Armor is an Ultra Armor. That is the rarest. There's probably only a couple hundred, 300 of these in existence. Then you have Mythic. We see that here. The fact that this is a white lizard is mythic. Like I already said, there's only 345 white lizards in existence. Then you have rare. This particular lizard doesn't have anything in rare, but it does show up in blue whenever you're using the actual rarity ranking tool that they have here. Then you have uncommon, should kind of speak for itself, and then lastly you have common. So the fact that I have a 7 attribute lizard here that happens to have a combination of mythic and ultra makes this, oh, my head's in the way. It makes this a very, very rare lizard, a very, very rare gecko that we have. But again, just to show you by contrast, if I type in my other lizard here, 4439, this is honestly one of my favorite ones that I have. I have an ultra neon green. That's the ultra color. That's the ultra skin color or the ultra body color that they have. The neon greens are the rarest. There's 333 of them in existence. In a rare eyepiece, the Ionic Disruptors. However, because I don't have armor, ears, or helmet yet again, that impacts my ranking so that I have 1800. Again, I can't tell if that's a 4 or a 9. But nonetheless, I think it's a 9, 1897. So this is the thing. You know, there's only 1,066 4-at lizards or 4-at geckos in existence, whereas, 7-at lizards, 5-at, 6-at, there's much more of them in existence. So because they don't play that into the rankings, that's going to impact, 4-at people who go based on rankings. But I think the community as a whole is starting to come around to the fact that the 4-ats actually are more rare. It's the same way that the Solana monkeys, the 1-at monkeys, are actually more rare. Because basically whenever it's creating these, when it's going through and setting the faction, the body, the eyes, the mouth, the helmet, the armor, the earpiece, it's rolling the dice. And when it rolls the dice and it lands on a none, that still counts as a dice roll, in my opinion. There's still a chance that it had to land on none. So the fact that it landed on none on these 4 pieces, basically, these are the optional pieces. Like, you have to have an eye, you have to have a mouth, you have to have a skin color, and you have to have a background. Those 4 pieces are guaranteed 100% to be rolled. But you don't have to have armor, ear, or helmet. The fact that it rolled a none, and it rolled the none the least amount of times, to me, tells me that the 4 attributes are actually the most rare. So now I look at it and I say, okay, I've got the least amount of attributes, or the 4 attributed existence. I have the Ultra Neon Green, which only has 333 lizards, and I have Ionic Disruptors, which is pretty rare in its own. That, to me, makes this gecko right here one of the most rare in existence, even if the ranking doesn't reflect that. So you can kind of choose which one you want to go off of here. You can go by the official ranking, which is perfectly fine to do. I certainly did it when I bought 2488 here. I paid 50 sol for this guy, ranked 130. I'm going to guess that's a 9 again. I no problem paying the money for that because this is a cool looking lizard. It's got an ultra piece. It's got a mythic piece. Yeah, super cool. The ranking here plays in my benefit, so I went with that. I'm going to stand pretty resolute that this one right here is actually one of the most rare geckos in existence. My point still stands that these attributes are truly unique, which is one of the coolest things. If you actually go to visit the armory here, look at all of the attributes that could have existed. Here's the common helmets, here's the common mouth, common armor, the common bodies. Then it goes to the uncommon eyes, the uncommon ears, the uncommon helmets, and so on and so on. There's so many attributes that all work together to create unique geckos that I think it's really, really, really cool that every single one is bringing something new and special to the table that nobody else is doing this type of stuff before. And they're immediately building a metaverse around it. These geckos are now part of a story. And they're doing things, rewarding the holders immediately with airdrops on like day 5. It's amazing the type of stuff that these guys are doing. Now, Solanar's finally back up. Let's jump on down here, kind of scroll over 1 to take a look at the Galactic Gecko Space Garage. The floor price now is 12 sol. There are 1,392 items listed, so roughly 14% of the total supply is listed right now. The floor price is at 6x what the mint price is, only 5 days after existence. And now you can actually thumb through these and look at them and say, like, they all look pretty cool. Like this guy right here for 12.9, that guy looks pretty cool. The crystal head, the crystal helmet gear, that looks pretty cool. The rocket head, I think that's really cool. These like 6 little magnifying glasses on the eyes look really cool. All of these look cool. Like they all do. They all look cool. And to me, this kind of feels like Bored Ape Yacht Club again. That after a certain point, once the price reaches a certain level, like rarity and ranking doesn't matter anymore because they all just look cool. That's kind of it. Like, sure, like the gold apes or the ones with blue laser beams are going to fetch $1 million, but everything else is just kind of cool. And, rankings don't really play a factor into that anymore. So, I kind of feel like the geckos are following the same path as the Bored Apes. I really do. I really feel like they're doing something special. They're building a universe, a metaverse. I feel like the art is unique enough to where ranking and rarity isn't really going to play a factor long term unless you've got, a top 2% type gecko here. And just the community is absolutely bonkers. All over Twitter, all over Discord, you see people changing their profile pictures. You see the tweets. You see just the engagement that's happening right now. It's crazy. This is clearly the 4th Solana NFT blue chip, along with the monkeys, the DJ apes, and the Thugbirds. So that's what I say here. Again, not financial advice. Do your own research, but I think this is still early into this project. I think these price points are still really, really low. I think in a couple months from now, we'll laugh about the days when we could have bought a gecko for 14 sol. So at least that's what I hope, because this project is incredible. Anything could happen, right? The government could come out and just ban access to blockchains for all we know. That's the risk. Everything here is a risky investment. So again, do what's best for you and your family, and don't listen to me because I'm just some average schmuck. All right, that's my take on the geckos. Thanks for stopping by, y'all. I'll see you in the next one.